One of my favorite problems is the giant pile of seconds, a million seconds. How much time is a million seconds? In 2013, there was a game show on television in which contestants answered trivia questions, and the show lasted and ran continuously for 1 million seconds. And it was called the Million Second Show. The Million Second Quiz. And you can look it up on the internet and find out all the details about it. It ran for almost 12 days. Sometimes it's handy to just memorize certain relationships, and a million seconds is about 12 days. So in order to process this large number of seconds, we have to recognize that it's just a classic division problem where I know a giant pile, and the big pile is the million seconds, and the group size that I want to form is 60 seconds. And the logic is very simple. If I have a large pile of seconds, and again I'm going to label the division, I would like to put a group size of 60 seconds on the problem, and a group size of 60 seconds is a group that forms a minute. So my quotient up here will tell me the number of minutes I'm able to form. So I perform the division. 60 doesn't go into 1, doesn't go into 10, but it does go into 100. It goes one time. 1 times 60 is 60. Perform the subtraction, it leaves a 40. The next 0 comes down, and 60 goes into 400 6 times. 6 times 6 is 36, so 6 times 60 is 360. And again, it leaves a 40. 60 up to 100 always is a 40. The next digit comes down, so now I'm processing the hundreds place digit. And again, 60 into 400 goes 6 times. 6 times 60 is 360. It leaves another 40. And another 0 comes down, so this is quite repetitive. Please notice this is not a repeating decimal. Even though there's a pattern here, there is no repeat bar that's used because repeat bars are only on the right side of the decimal point. Again, 60 into 400 is a 6. 6 times 60 is 360. And the remainder again is a 40. Another 0, the last 0 comes down, the 0 the ones place. And then 60 into 400 again is a 6. And again, 6 times 60 is 360. Leaves a 40, and at this point I stop because I've reached the ones place. This 40 is the 40 seconds that's part of the big pile of seconds that can't form another group of a minute. So how do you answer this? How much time is a million seconds? Well, simply put, it's 16,666 minutes and 40 seconds. So that's a perfectly valid answer, and I understand 40 seconds. I could count 40 seconds at about a second per count. I understand that time. I don't really understand this large number of minutes. I know it's way more than an hour, but beyond that I really can't tell you what exact amount of time that is. So I should do another kind of a problem. And the next kind of a problem I should do is this. Oh, I have a typo here. Excuse me. That should be 16,666 minutes from the previous problem. So how much time is this? Again, please notice that it's a regrouping where I know my big pile is now minutes. So how do I regroup minutes? Well, a group of 60 minutes is called an hour. So my group size again is a 60, but not the same reasoning as before. That is, those are not 60 seconds, those are 60 minutes. If the big pile is minutes, I must regroup into minutes. There's nothing else that would make sense. For instance, if I had a pasture full of horses, can I group them into groups of cows? No, that's ridiculous. So a big pile of minutes can only be grouped into groups that contain minutes. So again, this is my group size, and so 60 doesn't go into 1, doesn't go into 16, it does go into 166, it goes twice. 2 times 6 is 12, so 2 times 60 is 120. That will leave a 46. The next digit comes down, it's the 6 of the tens place. and 60 goes into 466. Well, since 7 times 6 is 42, 7 times 60 is 420. And it leaves another 46. Interesting, that's what the last remainder was. The digit of the ones place comes down, and again, 7 times 60 is 420, and it leaves another remainder of 46. So the division process now stops because I've put the digit in the ones place, but the remainder of 46 now is 46 minutes. It's part of the big pile that wasn't able to form a group of 60. So my 16,666 minutes would be the same thing as 277 hours, but 277 hours won't account for the whole 16,666 minutes unless I add another 46 minutes. So I understand 46 minutes. It's about the time period that you spend in class every day. But what about 277 hours? I mean, that's quite a long time, but how long it is, I'm a little bit uncertain. So I'm going to do another problem. This time it has to do with the 277 hours. And again, it's a big pile of hours. And so the only way to group hours into groups are into groups that contain hours. So the natural grouping should be not 60. 60 hours doesn't form anything special. But a group of 24 hours is called a day. So when I divide by 24 group size, 24 hours, my quotient will tell me how many days this is. So 24 goes into 27 one time. 1 times 24 is 24. Leaves a remainder of 3. Down comes a 7. And then 24 into 37 again goes 1. So 1 times 24 is 24. Subtract leaves a remainder of 13. And I'm done because I've got a digit in my ones place. And the remainder is part of the big pile. The big pile was hours. The remainder of 13 is 13 hours. And the quotient at the top is groups of 24 hours. So the big pile divided into group size 24, number groups 11. It means I have 11 days and 13 hours. Now you have to notice this. 11 days and 13 hours does not make a million seconds. 11 days and 13 hours makes 277 hours. And in order for me to account for the full million seconds, I need 46 more minutes, which was the number of minutes in addition to the 277 hours, to make 16,666 minutes. So I need another 46 minutes, but also that still wouldn't account for the million seconds. It would only account for the 16,666 minutes. To account for the million seconds, I need also these 40 seconds. So the final answer, a million seconds, is 11 days, 13 hours, 46 minutes, and 40 seconds. You might say roughly it's 12 days. You might say it's a little more than 11 and a half days. Knowing that a million seconds is around 12 days is kind of a handy thing to memorize, just because you'd be surprised how often a million seconds comes up, or the number a million will come up.